One of the biggest reasons gardening often feels intimidating is because people throw around terms like annual, deciduous, evergreen, herbaceous, perennial, as if everyone already knows what these terms mean. The truth is, once you understand these terms, gardening becomes so much simpler. It isn't about knowing hundreds or even thousands of different plants. It's about understanding their groups. And once this becomes a little bit clearer, the whole journey of gardening becomes that much more enjoyable. So in today's video, I'm going to explain the different types of plants, and I'm going to try and do this in the simplest way possible. So why do we even classify plants? Think of it this way. Imagine walking into a nursery or a garden center, and in front of you, you're presented with thousands of plants. Where do you even begin? How do you choose which plant will grow where and which plant will work for you? And so by grouping plants, we're trying to understand how they function and how they grow. And once we understand this a lot better, then everything makes more sense. The answer really isn't learning every plant, it's really learning their groups. Think of it as learning the alphabet before reading a book. So if we start with annuals, let's think small, quick, and colorful. This group of plants, as the name suggests, grows and flowers in one season. Annual meaning once a year, and this really is what they do. So if you are looking for a pop of color, a quick instant effect plant, then this is your go-to group. Annuals are very commonly used in borders, in hanging baskets, in beds. They provide a lot of color, they provide a lot of instant impact, but they do die that same season. And generally it's the cold that kills them off. So think of plants like zinnias, cosmos, petunias, violas. Those types of plants fall into this group of annuals. The next group are the biennials, and this is sometimes an overlooked group of plants. And what this plant group does uniquely is it grows in one season or in one year, and then it flowers in the following year. And so often, because it takes a bit of a longer time to get going and flowering, people often forget about this group because, of course, we're all guilty. We want instant impact. And this group really deserves a lot more attention. So in the first year, if you were to sow them from seed, they grow vegetatively, meaning they focus all their energy on green growth. And come the winter, they might die down a little bit or sit a little bit still, but underneath the soil level is where all the magic happens. The roots are growing, finding nutrients, and this is being slowly pulled through the plant. And as soon as the warmer weather comes in, those plants really burst into flowering, and they really do grow away and come back really strongly. And so if you think of plants like foxgloves or campanulas, these plants won't do very much in the first year other than growing leaves, and in the second year they will reward you with beautiful blooms. So definitely a group to consider. I've often, unfortunately, forgotten to sow them, and if you do so, then you will have to wait a whole nother season before you can enjoy their beautiful flowers, but it is very much worth it. The next group is definitely my absolute favorite group, and these are your perennials. So what makes perennials really amazing is that they die down in winter almost completely. They go underground, and you would have thought, if you hadn't known that they were perennial, that they were just completely dead. But in fact, they are so hardy and so resilient that when spring arrives, they start producing beautiful leaves and they really do burst into growth. So think things like hardy geraniums, peonies, salvias. These are the types of plants that really form the backbone of an ornamental garden. So here, the clue is in perennial is that they come back year after year. They flower often in the same season. So if you were to sow a perennial from seed, in some instances, it would grow enough and actually flower that very same season. However, in my experience, I have found that if you are patient with perennials, that they become better and better year after year. So sometimes 2 to 3 years down the line, they actually produce bigger flowers and they just grow so much better. To such an extent that you are then able to divide these plants so they become quite clustered as they grow and mature, and down the line you are then able, in the correct season, which is normally when it's a bit cooler, autumn or spring, you can divide those clumps and those plants, and you are rewarded with 3 plants when you only started with 1. So yes, perennials, my absolute favorite group. Now we move on to shrubs. Now shrubs can be small trees or big perennials, and this is where gardening really becomes quite interesting, because it's not necessarily black and white. Depending on where you live and depending on your climate, some plants that grow as perennials in one country or in one climate might not survive, and therefore they become annuals. Some annuals are short-lived perennials and vice versa, and this is the type of thing that really makes it a little bit difficult to group them black on white. So talking about shrubs, shrubs really form a strong structure. They give you the woody branches, they give you the shape, the form that you need in your garden. And a lot of shrubs are amazing for various reasons. They often have beautiful foliage, and they produce berries or fruits, and a lot of them also stay permanently green. And this is a term I will refer to a bit later in this video. So yes, shrubs are there to anchor your garden, to give you the shape and the structure that you might need. And of course, they can be as prominent as you want to. Think of things such as hydrangeas, think of lavenders, hebes. These are all examples of shrub. And you probably noticed I have my laptop next to me. I also have to make notes because there's a lot to talk about. So if I do look that way, just be patient with me. Then, of course, we need to talk about trees, because in my opinion, no garden is complete without a tree or 2. Trees are, of course, what we all know them to be, tall structures with wooden stems and leaves. And they really do form the permanent structure in one's garden. When you choose trees for your garden, of course, it depends on the size, and it depends on the shape, and it depends on the light levels that you want. Oftentimes people choose the incorrect trees. Perhaps they grow too big, perhaps they're not well suited for your climate. And the fun thing with trees is that it's an investment, of course, on the one hand, but also you get so many different types of trees. Whether you want trees that just give you beautiful foliage to look at, or whether you have trees because they form berries similar to the shrubs, or indeed lots of trees are of course very productive. So think about your apple trees, think about apricots, think about citrus, lemons and oranges, cherries even. And this is really where it becomes really fun, when your garden becomes more than just a maintaining space, but actually a place where you can be productive and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Now that we've mentioned trees, we should naturally move on to the next 2 terms, which are evergreen versus deciduous. These are terms that often do confuse people, but it's quite simple once you understand it. Evergreen simply means the tree stays green, or the plant stays green the whole year through. And so these are fantastic, especially if you live in climates that get really cold and really grey, and where the light levels really decrease, because this gives you something to look at in the winter. They maintain their leaves. They sometimes do look a little bit forlorn, but generally they hold their structure. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you get deciduous trees, and these are trees that lose their leaves in the winter, and what remains behind is a permanent woody structure. And of course, this also has its magic, because it is a sign of the natural progression of the season. And oftentimes when you are left with plants or trees that are deciduous, you are able to really look at them closely and see their beautiful structure and how they grow. And this is also a good time to then decide if it's necessary to prune or to reduce these trees in terms of size. And then a very important consideration when you are choosing plants for your garden is hardy versus tender. And this is really important, because if you live in a climate that gets really cold in winter, you will most likely need plants that are hardy. And of course, you get various types of hardy, you get various groups, and this is definitely a topic for a different video. And depending on where you live, you might choose plants that are able to go down to a very cold temperature and are then deemed as being fully hardy, so they're able to withstand the cold and survive. Whereas plants that are tender tend to be sensitive to frost and cold, and will in fact die if they are exposed to conditions that they don't optimally thrive in. So for example, if you were to plant in your garden in the summer, plants that are from tropical regions, and the first bout of frost comes late in the season, those plants will most likely be affected by the frost and die away. And this ties up with the theme of being annuals. It's not impossible to grow tender plants in your garden, but the moment the cold comes in, those plant groups will be deemed annuals because they will die. Whereas hardy plants tend to fall into the category, of course, of being perennials. They die down and they come back even if it gets really, really cold. Of course, if it gets to extreme cold, even hardy plants might suffer. So do look into the hardiness ranking of your plants and also the zone that you live in. So I would say, instead of memorizing thousands of plant names, ask yourself 4 questions. Is this an annual or a perennial? Is it hardy or tender? Does it grow in sun or shade or somewhere in between? And lastly, is it evergreen or deciduous? This really narrows it down and makes it a lot more digestible and so much less intimidating. And this will definitely help you along on your journey of enjoying gardening rather than it being so very overwhelming. So one thing I really hope you've taken away from this video, and if indeed you have, please do consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. And the thing I want you to take away is that it isn't necessary to memorize hundreds or even thousands of plants. Of course, as your journey through gardening progresses, this happens naturally. Instead, understand the categories and understand how the categories work and sometimes how they overlap. Because if you then do this, it becomes so much more enjoyable and so much less intimidating, especially if you're just starting your gardening journey. So in the next video, I will be talking about one of the most fascinating things about gardening, and yes, indeed about plants, and it's how they reproduce. Why sometimes we propagate plants from seeds, and why sometimes we have to take cuttings and divide them, and why sometimes we plant bulbs and tubers. So if you're interested in that, look out for the next video coming your way very soon. I hope this was informative, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.